The past week has been host to several games presentations, ranging from your Xbox to your PlayStation State of Plays, and the Summer Games Fest, which is just E3 without the E3. And it's been quite a mixed bag of boredom, excitement, and pure pain. So today I thought I would take the time to discuss my feelings about the events and do a kind of rundown of all the stuff that's gone down. It is absolutely boiling right now. First came the PlayStation State of Play, which honestly feels like Sony saw how much hype Nintendo Directs generate for future projects, and decided to slap on their own blue tint onto it and roll with it. I won't lie, I wasn't very interested in the things that they showed. It didn't drag on for too long. It was 20 minutes, concise, straight to the point. It was alright. There was a trailer for Resident Evil Village in VR, so now everyone can live out their vampire mummy fantasies up close in full HD. Then they showed a Walking Dead game that isn't Telltale.
Me too.
So you already know it's going to be dead on release, because that game was the only thing keeping people interested in this shit show of a series. I say that, but it was also a sequel to Saints and Sinners, which is a game that I heard a lot of people actually enjoyed. It got a 9 out of 10 on Steam, and 96% on the Google results page? What the fuck are those reviews coming from? So, I may be lying to you. One of the biggest announcements from the State of Play, however, was the fact that they are now releasing the Spider-Man game as a remastered edition on the PC, which makes one more exclusive Sony IP that is no longer exclusive, and makes me give even less of a shit about them in the process. A couple of indie games later, some Jet Set Radio-ass rollerblading shooter game, and anime. They then proceeded to talk about Street Fighter 6. Ryu looks like they scanned the Giga Chad face into a computer while they were developing, leading the entire internet to thirst over him. James Charles and the third long-lost Paul brother also made an appearance. Capcom really went all out with this one, hey? But after the Street Fighter presentation, I really stopped giving a fuck about what PlayStation had to show. And that's because they just kept showing another few indie games and a Final Fantasy trailer with some random dude voicing over it at the end with the cadence of your average geography teacher talking about rocks or some shit.
Child of fate, awaken if free.
There was a Sonic showcase at some point between the PlayStation State of Play and the next presentation, but it was so fucking quick that honestly I can't even remember what they showed.
I'm fast. I'm so fast.
Something about their team for re-release of old games, capitalizing on nostalgia. A Sonic Roblox game that is better than all the mainline series games that came out in the last decade. And
with an all-new Sonic collaboration.
For God's sake.
Come play as Knuckles, Sonic, and Tails.
That thing. Oh, and also Sonic running around on a field for 20 seconds. I'm really looking forward to Breath of the Wild with placeholder assets floating around in the sky and scrotum enemies. Next, the Summer Game Fest. It's kind of like E3 if the budget was a lot lower and everyone forgot about it. I mean, E3 themselves forgot that their convention was a thing, so I guess Jeff Keighley and the team are doing a better job already. Speaking of Jeff, he's the guy that does the Game Awards. You know, the Last of Us Circle Jerk show.
And now, the Game of the Year award goes to The Last of Us Part 2.
He's no Reggie, but trust me, there were worse hosts to these presentations. This was incredibly samey. It's as if everyone in the games industry went to the same bargain bin and somehow picked out exactly identical grimy notes with the words space shooter with psychological horror elements out, because that's what the whole of the presentation felt like. Now, don't get me wrong, there were definitely a couple of cool games shown, and some of them actually looked quite fun, and I'm excited about some of them. Before we get into that though, they added Poltereth, to Street Fighter. And I was surprised to see that the Aliens franchise is still a thing that people care about, or at least something that the games industry thinks people care about. Another trailer for the Callisto Protocol game was shown, and it definitely developed my interest for the project. I think the developers of the Callisto Protocol may be psychopaths, because they went on for quite a while about how they sought out to make every death animation in the game interesting in various ways. Someone may want to do a background check on these guys. I think they need some help. 10 minutes of the showcase was spent by me trying to stay awake as Activision came in and shilled the 4th remake of the same game again for an unbearable amount of time. I'll be completely honest, I don't think many people are particularly excited for the same carbon copy of a Call of Duty game. I'm just going to wait for the Modern Warfare 2 branded monster cans and Mountain Dew drinks to come out, because honestly, I think they'll bring me more entertainment than the game itself. So after Activision decided that 10 minutes of torture was enough time, they finally left, thank God. Witchfire showed up to announce a genuinely quite interesting idea, at least as interesting as it was going to get for this part of the week, really. What if a funny medieval fantasy game, but with gun, was basically the premise. It looked quite fun. The next 2 games were back-to-back space game with psychological horror elements for 10 minutes, and I went back to sleep. Nintendo also felt like giving every Mario fanboy on a global scale a heart attack by popping up, showing a pick and mix bag of random ass trailers, and then leaving as quickly as they came, causing an even larger amount of cardiac arrests as Galaxy Free believers huff on their copium continuously and go back into hibernation until the next Direct, only to repeat the process indefinitely. And then, after nearly an hour of mediocre announcements and sheer boredom, we were blessed with Game of the Year. No, Game of the Century. Yeah, that's right, baby. Code Simulator 3. Let's fucking go. They remembered what the people love. Being a fucking goat and ruining people's day. Fuck the second game. There doesn't need to be one. Stick it up yours, Valve. This is what putting a 3 next to the title of your game does to a motherfucker. Your testosterone. A ride to be remembered for years to come.
One Piece Odyssey.
Well, that's one Odyssey, I guess. The Nintendo fans won't be very happy about that one, though. At the end of the showcase, Jeff really couldn't lock it up inside of him anymore, and The Last of Us made an appearance. There is no place where Jeff won't be if Last of Us is there, and vice versa. It's a symbiotic relationship, or a viral infection. I still can't figure out the difference. But they're making another Last of Us remake, because we needed another one. I guess a remaster in 2014 wasn't going to satiate the massive hordes. Given the game looks significantly better, and you can tell that they're really putting in some effort into this. But I'm really tired of hearing the words The Last of Us. Seriously, they need to quantify what last means, because there's clearly enough of us left to make 1,000 rehashes. Oh, and they're making a multiplayer spin-off of the second game, because if you have to go through hell, might as well do it with a friend. Now, there were some showcases I didn't watch, but after reading up on them, I don't think I missed out on much. Interestingly though, it seems like Netflix are trying to pull some moves to save themselves from bankruptcy after the several horrible decisions they've made for the past few years. And what better way to do that than to fucking mobile games? Yeah, I'm not joking. Look, they're making chess too. Grandpa's gonna be really happy about that one, eh? And then Xbox and Bethesda came in. Surprisingly, despite my expectations being set extremely low by the last presentations, this one was definitely the best one, and by far. It's like the stars aligned perfectly on that day, and a 1 in 10,000 chance random event took place, because this shit felt surreal. The first game they showcased was Redfall. There's vampires, so obviously the live chat spammed Morbius relentlessly, like a hive mind of degeneracy. All jokes aside though, the game genuinely interested me. It looked quite fun, but the narration did not serve it any justice, because it just sounded like some random teenager in a coming-of-age story that has the need to narrate every single thing that is going on screen at all times. What's that? It finally happened. After having been announced 3 years ago, with very little follow-up, Silksong, at long last, descended from the heavens and blessed us with its gloriousness. I don't care that it was only like a 1-minute montage of preview gameplay. I don't care that we did not get a concrete release date, because the sight of Silksong after a long time was better than drugs. Look at my baby. Considering that it was stated beforehand that all the games showcased at the Xbox conference are coming out in a release window of anywhere in the next 12 months, I now sleep well. Left assured, Hornet will be telling me to get good in a year's time. Second announcement in, and you've already topped everyone else. Who would have thought multi-billion-dollar company has good announcements? Oh.
No wastelander.
Finally, they made Australia real. Yeah, as it turns out, Overwatch 2 will become free-to-play on release. I can't say I didn't see that one coming. I mean, Blizzard have to dodge the allegations one way or another. They continue to be masters of deception, somehow perfectly capable of making everyone forget about the fact that the neckbeards working for them are massive misogynists by simply releasing one extra tiny bit of information about any of their upcoming games, like Overwatch. And everyone goes from rightfully screaming on Twitter, receiving a small dopamine hit for the next hour, forgetting about it, and then continuing screaming after the dopamine runs out. Obviously, the game being free to play now means that they are going to be capitalizing in other ways. Specifically, as it turns out, a battle pass system and adding more customization features, like keychains on your fucking gun. So until we see the price tag, hold your fire. We can't really cry about it. It is Blizzard though, and they need to get the tax write-offs out somehow. So be ready to pay $200 to see one extra pixel of skin on D.Va. Bethesda then shilled their online games that no one cares about unless you've made the horrible mistake of playing them for way too long and are now at the point of no return. There was like another 10 games that fall into the broad generalization of indie game, space game with gun, and oh my god, what the fuck is that, Minecraft 2?
Oh my god, it's a fucking creeper.
But then, suddenly...
After the role of a lifetime, I've been busy. So, I look forward to my downtime. Check this out. Xbox, record that.
The mad lads at Atlas finally decided that they want to actually make money and are porting their flagship Persona series over to the Xbox. Now finally, everyone that doesn't own a PS4 can learn about what it truly means to live in a society. Unfortunately, at the time of this script, there don't seem to be any plans for a Switch port, or at least there hasn't been any talk of it. So it seems like King Goomba on Twitter is going to have to continue waging war against Atlas social media, and trust me, he will not stop until he gets to see Ryuji getting beaten up for absolutely no reason at 240p 5 FPS.
I do! Wait! What's this about? You guys are joking, right? I'm feeling a bit hungry.
But it is safe to say now that the Xbox presentation easily clears as the best presentation we've had at this BTech E3. Between the Silksong jump scare and Atlas finally deciding to get over their fear of monetary gain, there was also a few interesting looking games on the table, and they're also adding fucking Halo content to Flight Sim of all things. Xbox really likes tossing things in straight out of left field. Definitely wins on the entertainment front, being the only presentation that I didn't nearly fall asleep in. Todd Howard also came through and fought back the urge to re-release the 50th edition of Skyrim on fucking, I don't know, an electric bin, and instead showed, well, Skyrim in space. Starfield looks alright. I mean, it didn't really satisfy any itches for me personally, and kinda just looked like yet another exploration adventure game in space. But I'm gonna stop talking before the Bethesda fanboys triangulate my location and Todd Howard murders my fucking family. There was one last presentation, the PC Games Showcase. But I will spare you the details for a couple of reasons. There was no way in hell that this showcase was able to top anything shown at the Xbox presentation, and my suspicions of that were soon proven to be true as I watched my soul leave my body, actively, hopelessly watching in absolute despair for 2 hours as RTS games set in a medieval, historical, or futuristic setting showed up on my screen. Please touch some grass. PC Games Showcase was the embodiment of that one meme of the nerd emoji with the really wacky music in the background. Not mentioning the dreadful hosts that spoke like the "how do you do fellow kids" guy mixed in with a socially incapable Warhammer fan.
But none of that matters because the show actually took place in a parallel reality.
I am saying there's a multiverse.
There was really not much to talk about in the PC Games presentation. It really was just horribly boring. In fact, it was so pointless that at the end they just decided that the last 10 minutes of the showcase would just be a showcase of a Half-Life Alyx mod. Mind you, a mod, not something official, something made by the fans, because I think they genuinely just ran out of content. So yeah, that's about it. The good, the bad, and the RTS game. Altogether, I can't say that this week of showcases has been much more than mediocre at best. I will stay up at night contemplating why I wasted 2 hours of my life a day watching trailers and announcements for games I do not care about and will never once think about ever again after the presentation, let alone buy. But I guess I do not have any excuse not to try any of the games shown at the Xbox presentation, at least, considering their Game Pass service gives you virtually every game on the face of the earth for free. But that was about it. Just a couple of my thoughts on the events from the past week. Now, let's get back to talking about the social, economical, and